mainstream movies may interest us. Every time we go, we feel a little dirty. Except for Avatar, which surprisingly enough, both of us enjoyed for what it was. We didn't feel we needed to have some big anthropological critique of it.
When you guys were wrapping up the filming and the editing and stuff like that, how much of the marketing of the film did you guys, like how much say did you have in how it would be presented to people?
Well, initially, I went back and I looked at a grant proposal from 7 or 8 years ago, and I looked at it, and I had a paragraph on distribution, and it was hopeful about television and said, as far as theatrical was concerned, we were hoping that maybe some little museum in the Rocky Mountains would show a short version of the film in some exhibition they were having. As we moved along and were editing, we did realize that perhaps it would be a good idea to blow the film up to 35 millimeter and try for a real theatrical release. It did show in Missoula at the Big Sky Film Festival, and most of the people in the film took a road trip, 4-hour road trip to Missoula to see the film with a big audience.
Did they like it?
They did, yeah. And the only one who didn't go was John, who said that he'd seen the film already by living it in the mountains. People in the West who see it see a different film from what someone on the East Coast sees, and that to me is what's really wonderful about the film, that it can appeal to different audiences, completely different audiences with a range of very different kinds of experiences, and they can still somewhat appreciate aspects of the film. We have been living in the West in Colorado, and we were looking for a Western story. We see the West as a place where both liberals embrace the freedom of the landscape and more conservative people embrace the freedom of the landscape, the freedom to hunt, the freedom to ranch. So we were looking for topics that kind of had those two spectrums all in one. I can't say that we were looking for John Wayne, but at the same time, we found people who wore cowboy hats to this day and lived a hard life as ranchers, yet at the same time they used cell phones and walkie-talkies and watched Fox News. So there are a lot of there's the Old West and a very new West, I think, that we found. I think we were definitely aware of the sort of stereotype of the Marlboro Man, and we were trying. I don't think you can shoot in the West without sort of thinking about it. I hope that in some ways we burst open the stereotype of the Marlboro Man, because we show a man who is, supposed to set out and be a hero and fight all odds and defend the sheep against the bears, and in the end he breaks down and he cries, or sort of calls his mother and complains to her about how hard his life is. And I think that is a way in which we try and show that the human side of masculinity, although that wasn't necessarily a goal, I think it was something that emerged. I think the ways in which our film is anthropological is that they depict the human condition, but they depict a particular human condition. It looks at the lives of real sheep herders and finds great truths both about their lives and about the lives of people in general. Certainly the methodology is anthropological in that it involves participant observation, which is this going to a culture can be more remote or less remote than one's own, and hanging out and watching the way people live ordinary lives, the way they conduct their daily lives, the way they get up in the morning and brush their teeth and do what they've got to do and then go to bed, and the demons they face throughout the day, and in this case throughout the night. So in that way it's anthropological. It doesn't give you lessons, but it asks you to come along with us and to observe these things as well as participants, as viewers.
Did you find yourselves thinking more like filmmakers or more like anthropologists while you were putting it together?
It's like asking you if you think more like a man or like a white person or like a whatever your ethnicity is. It's certainly, as we edit, we think, okay, what are the anthropologists are going to say? What are they going to say? Are they getting enough information? We did have a scene in the film that left very, very late after Berlin and before New York. We had a scene in which there was a certain amount of ethnographic information about Norwegians and English, Irish people. And we thought, okay, the anthropologists are going to love this scene. We need to leave it in. And it just completely stopped the flow of the entire film. So we took it out. We found compromises at various points. And certainly as we edited, we had a little bit of time to stand back and say, okay, is the audience we want to have going to appreciate this or not? We have ideas of things we want to make films about. Lucien's very interested in making films about surgery. I am not, so if he does that, I don't know how involved I will be. Both of us are interested in making films about the fishing industries in New Bedford. But that's a new idea. We've gone down one day to do some field work. Lucien's been filming friends of ours in the Alps who are sheep herders. I think that would make a great film. Lucien's not so sure, so we'll see. So we do have some ranching films sort of in the works. Excuse me, but New Topics is going to take a real concerted effort to develop.
If you guys were going to go see a movie, what would you want to go see a documentary, or would you rather see something else?
I would say more European films, ones that get over here. Definitely documentaries. We wanted to see La Danse, Frederick Wiseman's film. I want to see The Hurt Locker. And then retrospect is that the Harvard Film Archive will have like the Arban Pelosian films, the Armenian filmmaker, things like that. We find more inspirational than what most people want to go see.
Do you have directors that you return to that you really enjoy?
Lucien has someone named Yana Shevtakova. Definitely Wiseman. I mean, both of us love French films like Agnès Varda and Claire Denis. I like humor too. I used to go see every Woody Allen film, but